Let me go to Jack Posobiec, who is Turning Point USA contributor, host of Human Events Daily. I think, and Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure you're not going to take all the credit, but I would say that you were the guy who said, we should do a halftime show. We should do it ourselves. I'm sure there were other people involved in that, but good job, Jack. Good job.
Well, Glenn, thank you so much for that and all of your praise, in the past couple of days and your support for it going into it. Look, I may have been the guy who said we should go ahead and do this and, kind of got the ball rolling. But ultimately, I would say the inspiration for the Super Bowl halftime show was Charlie himself, because Charlie was always, for years, even back before Turning Point really got off the ground, and we were pulling up old tweets and just remembering old conversations that we had where he was constantly going on. He said the way they were doing the halftime show, at the Super Bowl is becoming so just a scene of debauchery. He said it's not family friendly. And then more and more increasingly, it was not putting America at the center, our virtues and our values at the center. And we found a clip, actually, because we would talk about this off air all the time. And we found a clip, and I'm sure there's more, but the one that we found was from a couple years back where he was saying the halftime show should be the virtues that you want to extol throughout the nation, because this is the pinnacle of a cultural event that is going to have the most eyeballs year on year. As they know that, we know that.
Yep. And it's not just America. I mean, this is the biggest calling card every year in the world. People watch it all over the world. And I got to believe if I was an enemy of the United States and I watched that, I thought these people are about to implode. When you don't have a word of English spoken during the halftime of Super Bowl, that tells you something. And it seemed to me almost to be like a hostile takeover.
Well, and you look at it too, it's the division, it's globalism. It's just the obvious word for it. And going back to a word that we used before, where they want to go global, because this is what the NFL wants. The NFL wants to compete with the World Cup. They want to compete on the global stage. Everyone knows the World Cup, that's the big one. And predominantly when you're talking about a Hispanic audience, Spanish-speaking audience, they don't watch American football as much. They watch the World Cup. They watch soccer because that's their culture, by the way. And what they're trying to do from a monetary perspective, from a fiscal perspective, which, by the way, from a pure capitalist perspective, I don't have a problem with trying to expand your audience, but don't do so by denying, dividing, and canceling the core of what we were built on in the first place. NFL is middle America. This is Hank Williams Jr. Remember, he got canceled, and Hank Williams Jr. used to be the opening song, the iconic song, Are You Ready for Some Football, on Monday night. That was what built the NFL, and we saw NASCAR do this when they went woke to try in search of a broader audience. We're now starting to see the NFL, and I'm not starting to see, we've seen the NFL do this for years, and that's just all of this is what drove me to say we have to do it. This is the time.
I have to tell you, Hank found out, just side note, Hank found out about him being canceled on Monday Night Football listening to this program. And he told me about a year later. And he picked up the NFL guitar, the one that he had, and he just smashed it to death. And I think he had like 5 or 10 of them, and he smashed all of them in this rage while he was listening. He picked up the last one, and he was about to smash, and he went, "No, this one goes to Glenn Beck." About a year later, he gave me the only Monday Night Football guitar that's left. He saved for me. It's crazy. Anyway,
so he didn't
Jack,
want to save
tell
any
me.
of them. He said cut it all off.
No, all of it. He
Wow.
didn't. He was so angry. So I don't know if you saw my monologue yesterday. I talked about how this was a brilliant first.
We all saw that.
Okay, good.
We were all sharing that around.
Because people were saying that's a stupid move, blah, blah, blah. It didn't do anything. Oh, it will. I mean, when you have 30 million people online within 24 hours watching it, you've made a real impact. And look out. I have heard, and I don't know if it's true, I've heard the NFL tried to get you guys not to do it. Is that true?
So here's what I can say. We faced, I knew that this would be, and Kid Rock himself Bob came out and said, it's David and Goliath. This is what he was referring to. Because I knew that by picking a fight with the biggest cabal in America, bigger than the Democrats, right? We're talking Hollywood, we're talking corporate America, the biggest sports event in the country, the most money that goes into this thing because it has the most cultural power, that we were going up against Goliath. We were just literally going up against Goliath. I had no idea what would happen. I don't think we realized the ways that they can get you, the ways that they can gatekeep you and block you. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I have an email from Roger Goodell that says you shall not do this, right? Because they're clean. They're going to do it clean. But everybody knows, and this is the way that these elite events work, is that it's a trickle-down system, but they're all connected through the sponsorships, the advertisers, the venues, the musicians, the music rights, the labels. Because we had times where artists would tell us, love to do it, can't wait. Because when you start one of these things, of course, you cast a wide net. You say, okay, who's available? You look into who's on tour, who's around. We only had 3 months to be able to even do this. So, and then it comes to venues. Oh, we'd love to do it. We have availability. But then something would always happen, Glenn, somewhere along the line in that conversation with, I want to say, a very large percentage of people we talked to, suddenly it was, something came up and we just can't do it. Or, we just can't have it. And then they play games with the rights to the songs as well, where the artists, because the publishers and the licensors have the song. This is, of course, people know publicly this is what happened with X, and I could talk about that too, is they would say, you can have that artist, but they can't play this song, this song, this song, and this song. Or if you play it, you can't broadcast it on X. Like all of these things. Or there were even, I'll just say, there was stuff that we wanted to do and that we had artists who wanted to do that we were told at the last minute that you are not permitted to do that. And this is something where we would have gotten, and they would have sued us tens of millions in liabilities, where we had permission from so many people that were close to it, but somewhere back in the office, someone says, no, Turning Point USA with Posobiec and Colvette and Charlie Kirk's family. No. And I'll even tell you, there were some emails that we got that were actually not so pleasant too, about, hey, we, real sorry about what happened to Charlie, but we don't want to do business with you. The end. We've got all of that. And so can I say it was the NFL definitively? Of course, right? Of course we can't say that definitively, but we know what was going on here.
So it's amazing. If I hadn't have lived through this, I would maybe have a hard time going, well, you don't really know. No, trust me. What he's saying is absolutely right. I mean, I had a deal with, I think it was either Warner Brothers or Paramount, a movie deal for the Christmas sweater, 2 million books, easy, done. They were all over me. I think we had two companies bidding against each other for the rights to it. The minute the White House got involved, it was actually Van Jones got involved, and all of a sudden it was like, we own the rights, but we're not going to do anything with it. You're like, what do you mean you're not going to do anything with it? And this happens all the time in our world, but it only happens, Jack, when you're making a difference. That shows how terrified they were of this. And I'm telling you, next year, make it bigger, make it better, because you will slowly bleed that audience. You're not going to hurt the football part of the Super Bowl, because that's unique to the NFL and nobody can replace that. But if you hurt them pregame, halftime, postgame, they can't charge all that money. I mean, it will really hurt the NFL, really hurt. And they're going to say, no, it doesn't affect us at all. Believe me, 5 years from now, they're freaking out now. 5 years from now, they'll be freaking out publicly.
Well, I can tell you, by the way, that I did have a source that through one of the NFL, just sort of a marketing department, kind of a firm that they use, who was telling us even that night that they were furious, absolutely furious when they saw the numbers that we did. And then it becomes the number one. Actually, the X, not being able to stream on X actually helped us with YouTube, because it drove all those people to the YouTube audience, to that stream. So it becomes the number one U.S. stream in American history, number 2 YouTube live stream worldwide ever, more than the World Cup, more than any other sporting event, entertainment event, you name it. The only thing, I actually looked this up, the only live stream that was more was when India landed their lunar probe, a couple of years ago.
And it's
like,
India.
You're going up against 1.8 billion people. I said, but then of course I said, well, guys, next year, obviously, you know what this means. We just have to go big. We're doing it on the moon. What do you say?
Right. With maybe the Prime Minister of India.
We'll get Modi, right.
People are saying that you guys paid for that. This was all hype. These weren't real people. You paid for all that.
Well, if people think that was true, which, number one, I don't even know how to do, but if that were true, then please go ahead and do your own and show us how it's paid for. Just go ahead and beat us. Beat us tomorrow, right? Just go out and pay for the, and that's what's silly. If this were able to be done, which, by the way, Glenn, we were talking to YouTube the entire night. They were telling us, they were checking in. They can see this on the back end. They can see the heat maps about where the audience is coming from. It's just they would know what traffic, because YouTube, of course, has compensatory rates as well, because they have advertisers, so they can't. If they're selling fake traffic to their advertisers, then they're committing fraud. YouTube's not going to allow that, and they never once reported a single issue like that to us.
Jack Posobiec from TPUSA. It's always good to talk to you. Say hello to your wife. You married up.
I will.
Say hello to your wife.
I will, and likewise. By the way, Glenn, I don't know if you remember, but quick story on Christmas sweater. 2006, I think if I remember correctly, when you brought the Christmas sweater to the Kimmel Center, you and I were backstage there together before you went up on the to do the show, and it was phenomenal.
You're
phenomenal.
Kidding me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a great memory. 2006.
Jack,
thank you so much.
It was before you moved to New York.
Yeah, it was. I was nope. Christmas sweater was the year before I went to Fox. So I was living in Connecticut. I had just left Philadelphia.
Oh, you just moved. Okay,
and moved.
Got it.
Yeah, just moved. Yeah. But anyway, Jack, thanks so much. God bless you, man. Appreciate it. And congratulations to everyone at TPUSA. High praise. High praise. Keep it up.
Well, hey, Glenn, you showed us how to do it, man. You showed us.
Thanks. Thanks, man.